episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 8, Episode 1.
Or Episode 167 if you're counting.
So yay, welcome to a brand new season.
Hey everybody.
And I'm so happy to be back and glad that we're continuing to do this now. 8 seasons seems ridiculous to me.
Yes.
And all of that in a matter of only probably 4 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Thank you, as always, to the Patreon contributors at patreon.com/MarsGirl who make this show and all kinds of other stuff that we do possible. We did make, quickly, a new intro that we're kind of playing around with it. It might take some time to get used to it. And we might still make some adjustments to it. In fact, I really do kind of want to re-render it. I just didn't want to look at just this bland, boring stationary image anymore.
We've been doing
for like
this
45 seconds.
Right, because we've been doing this for 8 seasons. This is our 8th season. You guys deserve something a little bit more flashy, so we've decided to give you that.
And short.
And short.
And short.
Like
also.
my hair.
Yeah, like your hair. Much shorter.
Yes.
And so that's what we got. Thank you also to those of you who are showing up on Twitch tonight.
Yes.
Because we made the move to YouTube primarily because talk shows were supposed to be gaming related only over on Twitch, and I was always nervous, somebody's gonna flag us for not having a gaming only talk show. Well, I mean, we talk about games frequently. Right. But, it's not always primarily gaming. However, Twitch has now loosened their talk show requirements. Now, I mean, Twitch has loosened a lot of their streaming requirements. Because now you can stream life and eating. Yes. And now they've opened up their talk show to be, it does not have to be gaming related. So that's where we found our loophole. So now we're talking to you guys.
Well, it's not a loophole anymore. It's an entrance.
Yeah, it is an entrance. It's a direct entrance. So now we're talking to you guys both on YouTube and on Twitch. Hello to both of you. Now you can communicate with one another thanks to Restream's chat over here. So good job, Twitch. Thanks.
Moving up in the world.
Also, if you guys might maybe be new around here, which is entirely possible, it's the start of a brand new season, please do be sticking around at the end of the show. We do an hour of this show, which you can then watch later on YouTube, but what you can't see later on YouTube is our Q&A segment.
That goes on for a half hour after the show ends every week.
Absolutely. So, yeah, once this main show is done, please stick around, ask us questions. It's always a good time, and you folks are always good and kind to us. So, yeah, what else is going on?
I feel terrible.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, as you know, I've been getting over the peskiest cold in the world for like 2 weeks now. So forgive me if I do have to clear my throat on air. I'm on the medication, but it's just not working as fast as I'd like it to.
Yeah, understandable. Send them your well wishes, guys.
Yes. I got some swag.
Some people are saying that the stream has disconnected, but then they're also saying it's come back up, and pardon the advertising. Yeah, the advertising there. Well, I made sure that it was in fact still connected. Looks like we're good. We'll go ahead and keep going.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I got that going for me. We got some other stuff which we will talk about later on in the show.
Well, I'm going to talk about it briefly right now.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, just briefly, and then we will in fact talk about it later. So we did acquire on launch day the Nintendo Switch, which I believe is going to look kind of funny here on camera. Actually, it's coming in.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good this time. It's kind of fought with me, thinking that this blue Joy-Con is green for a while, but it looks fine right now. So
in Mighty Brothers XX colors,
kind of, yeah. So I've been enjoying it quite well. I've not been one of the people who's had a hard time with their Switch.
You are also one of the people who has not tried to eat it.
You're right, I have not tried to eat it. And we will talk about all of those things later on in the show. I've been having really quite a good time in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, so I hope that you guys will eventually be able to pick this up also. Regardless of whether you do so on the Switch or on the Wii U, Breath of the Wild is a very, very good game.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, definitely. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on in the show.
Yes. Other than that.
We've seen a lot of movies.
We've
since
seen
we've
a
been
lot of
out.
movies, yes. Most recently we saw
Logan.
which was interesting because I've seen, with the exception of half of the last Wolverine movie, every X-Men movie that's come out. You have seen one before this one.
Yeah,
which was First Class.
It was only First Class, and so for me, I felt like, man, this movie's probably really good, and I didn't dislike anything about it. My problem was that I did not feel like I was already attached to Charles or to Logan, and they don't do a bunch of back building for them because they expect you already know who they are.
Right.
So I felt like, man, this feels like a really good ending for a trilogy of movies that I know doesn't exist and I never saw.
Yeah.
And I just walked in on the ending of it. So, but that having been said, I do think you should go and check it out.
Moonbeam, I'll agree with you. I cried. I absolutely cried. This was a very well done movie. I know my brother and I have a similar opinion. If Patrick Stewart doesn't get some sort of acknowledgement or nod for his performance here in the movie, his last run as well as Charles Xavier, something's wrong. Somebody's being robbed, and it's Patrick Stewart, because the man is amazing and did amazing work.
Definitely. And I guess we're going to be seeing more movies here in a couple more weeks.
Yeah,
so
we're going to be...
Kong is coming up.
We got Kong this weekend. In another week or so, or a little bit over, we've got Power Rangers.
So we are going to be either skipping an episode, or we're going to delay it a day, maybe.
Yeah, because we got tickets for opening night, which is the same night we do this show. So we'll go ahead and let you guys know whether or not we're skipping, like she said, or we're doing it a day later. But you guys know, currently, that is our white whale. Just like we were hunting down Not Quite Justice League, that's how we're hunting down Day of the Dumpster Fire. So, yeah, we're going to be on top of that. And then the week after that is Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Which we're not skipping the show for, but we will probably end up having to talk about that at some point.
At some point, yeah. We're very on the fence on our feelings about it, and I hope it really straightens itself out by the time we go and see it. We were just listening to that remix of the original film theme that they put into the film.
I don't know that it's in the film. I know they've been playing it out
in the
lately.
Trailers.
The remix of the theme by Steve Aoki, which is pretty decent, yeah. He managed to keep a lot of the original movie theme there to play off of, which is probably better for fans of the original.
Right.
But aside from that, it's a song.
Exactly.
It's a remix.
It's a remix. So, we'll see how it all gets put together a little later on in the month. So,
yes.
Perhaps we should finally talk about what our news stories are for
we
tonight.
do have a full show for the evening, so let's go ahead and talk about that.
Right, so for starters, we are going to be talking about the Switch. I did just show you guys we got ours, and ours seems to be pretty much okay. Thankfully. Not everybody's Switch is so okay, though. So, we'll talk about people's problems with their Switches, what the numbers are looking like, because there are both positives and negatives about it. It's only been out for a week, so it's still quite fresh in everyone's mind.
Yes. Our second story for the evening comes to us as of just a day ago, right? That we see at the launch of that. Maybe two.
Like that, yeah.
Of this first trailer for Kamen Rider Amazon's Season 2. This, of course, being the Amazon Prime available tokusatsu series from Toei. The second installment coming out. We're going to talk to you guys about the new characters, the plot, and some of the merchandise that they're already pre-ordering for this new show.
And then finally, our third story is going to be as it relates to Overwatch. While we were off air, there was quite a bit of Overwatch information. This includes updates and new characters getting announced and new story branches getting introduced. So I know you're excited about this.
Very excited.
I think you can help lead the discussion in why we should be excited about this.
But in addition to that, we've also had a lot of buffs and nerfs going through the system, even
updates.
as of this morning. So we're going to talk about that, how that all culminates together for how well the game is doing.
Definitely. So, before then, please help me, as usual, with the follow-up segments.
The follow-up.
Please?
Yes.
What do we have?
Now, I don't know if you're ready.
Well,
because we're starting off the season, I got to start it the way we normally start it. Full-blown Justice League.
Oh my god.
Full-blown Justice League. Of course, as we normally go through the show, for those of you who aren't familiar, we do have a kind of set order of the stories that we do in the follow-up section. Normally, DC stuff goes first, and we do our coverage, usually starting off with information about full-blown Justice League, what we're referring to the Justice League movie coming out in November as. So the first picture we have for you guys is from Zack Snyder, the director there of Justice League, of the upgrade to the Batmobile for the movie, looking way more armored because, you know, people were responding so well to how many guns Batman used in the last movie. They figured, you know what, let's give him 2 GATs, you know? He's got the 2 on the front. Nah, we'll replace those with autocannons. Now he's got full chain guns on the other side. Yeah. He's got this giant honking cannon is, you know, right there above my head. You know, I love the character. I really do, but again, Snyder.
I'm not feeling this.
I'm not feeling it. No, really like, please, get off the Dark Knight Returns dick. We don't need it. Just let Batman be Batman.
Because it's funny, it looks like a smaller vehicle. However, they just keep putting stuff on it, you know?
Like the way that works, like, I know you can do that with Legos, and Lego Batman came out, which was pretty funny. But you don't.
Very good, yeah.
But you don't have to actually do that with Batman's actual vehicle. All right, you're giving him like 2 other ones for the movie. He doesn't need extra guns. Like, if anything, he better only use those on parademons and not on regular criminals like he did in the last one.
You better hope.
We're hoping.
We
wish.
Keep our fingers crossed on that one.
Okay, so in semi-related news, we've got some test footage that came out for the Aquaman movie, some pre-rendered CG of Jason Momoa as Aquaman swimming through the water. Looks about as good as you'd figure.
Looks like CG rendered Aquaman to me.
Pretty much. Now, the interesting thing about it is in the footage you can kind of see the outline of Orm, the Ocean Master, who's going to be one of the villains in the movie, looking about, again, as well as you'd figure he'd look in live action. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is test footage. Nothing's been confirmed yet for the actual look of Orm in the movie. We've just gotten a couple of shots of Aquaman and Mera there in the movie. More to come as that develops.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to some CW news, we've got a little bit of an update for the Flash Supergirl musical crossover that's going to be coming up here in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They're saying again that it's a 2-part crossover, but it's about as much of a 2-part crossover as it was a 4-part crossover for all the shows earlier in this particular season, where the last bit of Supergirl, which airs on Mondays, will start the crossover.
Right.
Like just in the last minute or two, and then the Flash's episode is actually where the crossover happens.
Well, kind of disappointing, but I think once production is 100% fully, like, they've gotten away from CBS,
yes.
Then once they start doing, they'll surely continue doing crossovers.
Oh, absolutely.
And once they do, it will improve.
And they've said as much, that the bulk of the reason it's coming across like that is because they had their plans in place already for the season when they got Supergirl announced as, yeah, she's coming over to the CW. So next season, they will go ahead and address that and fix that and make sure it's more integrated, but for right now, this is what we're dealing with.
Right.
So, you know, that's a thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and move over to Marvel news. So, of course, in 2 weeks, on March 17th, we have Iron Fist, the next installment of the next Netflix Marvel universe there. They have confirmed that for Season 1, Danny Rand, Iron Fist, played there by Finn Jones, will not have his trademark costume. And they're saying, and it's an odd thing, we were just talking about this the other day, that the explanation that they're giving is, we couldn't rationally come up with a reason for him to put on a mask.
Okay.
That having been said, he will have to deal with the problems of doing the things he does, like going out at night and beating people up, and the fact that he's a billionaire by day, so he will have to address that. And to me, that sounds like that's the exact reason why he needs a mask.
That's why you should have a costume, yeah.
Right.
Because you want to hide your identity.
Right. So my thing is, maybe if he doesn't get it here, it'll be something similar to like with Daredevil, where if he doesn't get it in the last episode, maybe that's what they're saving for the Defenders, which we're getting later on this year. But I'll give them that much. They haven't disappointed me with any of the series they've come out with thus far. I'm willing to bet they're going to give him something, just maybe not right off the bat.
Right.
So we've got that. We've got some new information, again, stuff that's just been pouring in for the last 2 days, about Thor Ragnarok. So we have this photo from the cover of Entertainment Weekly showing Thor's new look. He's lost his golden locks.
You know what? That makes me really disappointed, because I felt like that was his most identifying feature.
Yes.
And that's really important. So are you telling me that he doesn't have those golden locks in some...
At some point, basically, he loses his hammer. They've confirmed that.
Okay.
And he gets his head shaved. ending up with this haircut.
Not necessarily in the movie. I mean, in comics. He loses that hair in comics?
I believe it's the Ultimate Universe. They've got him with a more crop top right now.
I don't like it. I
don't like it either.
Regardless of whether or not it's comic accurate, I don't like it.
Now, for what it's worth, they've given us Valkyrie there on one side, and on the other side we have Cate Blanchett there as Hera, again missing her giant, freakish antler headpiece, which I imagine, you could only go as far as, say, Loki's horns, as far as showing it visibly in the real world.
Why?
But hers, have you seen how big her headpiece is?
She's allowed to have a big headpiece.
Yeah, but it's like football fields on either side of her head, these... They're like deer antlers. They're huge.
So put it on camera.
Oh, well.
That's what I want to see.
Well, if you're gonna put those on her, you need to bring Thor's helmet back.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
There.
That's totally fine with me. Yes, I agree. He should have his helmet.
Yes. So we've got those pictures there. A couple of other shots of Mark Ruffalo there on the set, as well as Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum is the one I'm seeing the most of. Everyone's the happiest.
Oh yeah, everybody's real happy to see that. That and the fact that Sam Neill's in the movie, and we're just hankering to see whether or not they have scenes together because, Jurassic Park, we know what's up. Okay, so we've got that to report on. We've gotten our first look today, as well as the Telltale Games' new Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Okay.
The first screenshots coming up, looking very much in the style of the movies. Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 will be coming out later this year in May. It makes sense that they're keeping the aesthetic in the terms of the movie. That's how a lot of people have been introduced to the Guardians now. No word on the release date yet, just later this year. So we've got that to look forward to there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our sci-fi news. We'll go ahead and start it off with Doctor Who. Of course, everybody knows that this is Peter Capaldi's last season playing the role of the Doctor, and kind of as a well-wish to send him off with, he requested a specific villain to face off against, which was the Cybermen, but not just any Cybermen. He wanted the original Cybermen that William Hartnell... That
looked like crap,
That looked like crap. And so, as you can see here, they decided, you know what, we'll give it to him, So in the 11th and 12th episode of this season, he will face off against the Mondavan Cybermen. I
think that's cute.
It's a nice little...
It's kind of cute,
It's just going to be interesting to see how they explain why they look like that now.
They're built like crap. That's all you need to explain, is that somebody had to hodgepodge them.
They really did. And admittedly, it's nice to see where they came from with this design to the more Iron Man-esque Cybermen that we've been seeing over the last couple of years. And to go back to this, it's just going to be interesting, at least on a visual note.
Definitely.
So, we've got that. Yes, most likely it's going to be a two-parter, to help send off Mr. Capaldi. But we'll know more about that once we get closer to the series opener.
Of course.
Okay, so we've got some information out of Star Trek. We'll start with them. So Star Trek Discovery, of course, has already started filming. They have just announced the captain for the ship, the Discovery, Jason Isaacs, who a lot of people know as Draco Malfoy's dad there from the Harry Potter movies. He will be manning the ship there along with the other characters there, like Anthony Rapp. All these other people, Michelle Yeoh, who've been added into the cast.
Kind of about time they finally...
Yeah, you weren't happy that you just barely found out who the captain was now.
No, because they've delayed the hell out of this series over and over and over again. This development hell is really concerning, if you ask me.
Well, it's not development hell if they're filming.
But it's taken so long to get this far. What I'm saying is that it had to go through development hell in order to even get to where they are now, and it's just really concerning. I'm concerned about what the final product is going to look like.
Now, admittedly, they have said several times that they will take the time that they need to make this a good show, since they are debuting this on CBS's streaming platform, not actually on network.
Right.
They may debut the pilot on network, but the rest of the show will be there on their streaming app. So I guess they feel like they can take that kind of time, which hopefully in the end gives us a better product.
Yes, I hope so too.
But I do understand your concerns. Yes.
Thank you for that courtesy that you are giving me.
You're welcome. Okay, so we just talked about Star Trek. Let's talk about Star Wars. So this is a sad development that we're hearing about, because, especially for you, who's been trying to get out there. So Star Wars Celebration, which is going to be taking place just in a little over a month in... Is it England this year?
I do believe so, yes.
So they've had one every couple of years, or every year, especially now since they've started these new movies. So our hope was that next year, for 2018, we'd get to go to that Celebration because we couldn't get it together for this year or the year before. That's not going to happen because they've decided to officially skip 2018 and not have another Star Wars Celebration until 2019.
I've been saying for more than a decade, maybe even closer to 15 years, that I want to get out to the next Star Wars Celebration, and it's just never happened. I feel like 2019 is probably going to be really big, considering that's the year of the final film of this newer trilogy.
Right, episode 9.
Yeah, I feel like that one's going to be really big, so no matter where it is, we must ensure that we get there. I don't know how many times I have to say that. I might not be able to say that again.
Better start saving up now.
Yes. Everybody needs to start saving up right now.
Yes, so we got that. Okay, so moving over to some other anime news. So Universal Studios Japan has announced two things, one a little further back and one more recently. So they've shown more of their 4D Evangelion ride, which I showed you the footage.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we described back when we were on our honeymoon.
Ago. Yeah,
when we were on our honeymoon, we described what that Evangelion ride would look like.
Like
if they
2.5 years ago, yeah.
And it's exactly what it is. An angel's attacking, and Ava's fighting it, and you're driving under the legs of the Ava, going through Neo Tokyo 3, and it's just, there's destruction, and there's lasers, and it's going nuts, and I'm like, I deserve royalties.
Right. We did talk about it quite a bit. We talked about it on the show.
And the other thing they have is for their new 4D Attack on Titan ride, which has an interesting feature where the character Levi will basically be riding with you. You hear his voice piping in over the intercom in your seat, and he'll basically be talking to you during the ride, but I can only imagine he's not the most talkative character in the show.
No, not
I guess
especially.
He's just going to complain about how he's going to beat you up while the ride goes on. I guess
cool.
I guess it was better him than somebody like, say, Armin, who'd just be yelling in your ear the whole time.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he will scream at some point.
At some point you will probably hear Armin scream.
Yeah. Hopefully not the entire ride.
Hopefully not the entire ride. Moving on to some other news. So we did, of course, cover last season that unfortunately the Odaiba Gundam has been taken down, but they have confirmed that the Gundam Unicorn will be taking its place to be put up later on there in Diversity over in Odaiba there in Tokyo. A lot of people are very excited to see a new Gundam out there. They're saying that there's going to be more...
It's not what I wanted, but...
I understand, but they're saying there's going to be more functionality, more lights, more sound, that it will do more than the RX-78 that was already there. Mm-hmm. Even so, even though I've never seen Gundam Unicorn, I still want to go see it.
Yeah, I will definitely go see it for the novelty of it. I still prefer, this piece of history that is the original RX-78 standing there in all of its glory, and now it is not there. My hope is that they take it someplace else.
That somebody else gets the RX-78.
Yeah, I hope that it still exists somewhere.
Yes.
That is what I would prefer.
I understand that. Okay, so moving on to some Day of the Dumpster Fire news. So, of course, tickets went on sale this past Monday.
For Power Rangers the movie, in case you guys are not familiar with our
nomenclature.
Yeah.
But earlier today, we got confirmation about something I called months ago. And they're letting people know this instead of being disappointed there at the movie. You can be disappointed today. That Goldar has no personality. He's just an embodiment of Rita's malice and anger, and is purposely nebulous and flowy like liquid gold, and does not have a face.
Well, what I loved about the article that came out earlier was that they were trying to spin it like, oh, this is great. They were trying to make this so positive. He's a better character now. He's a better character because he can't talk back to Rita, and because he's not a bumbling buffoon. Well, when you're talking like first season Power Rangers, he doesn't talk back to Rita. He's quite the yes man, and he's probably the most competent lackey she had next to Scorpina. He and Scorpina were like neck and neck. They got stuff done far better than any other monster they sent out there. There was nothing bumbling about him.
I don't get how you can say he's a better character when you've essentially lobotomized him.
When he's not a character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, good job trying to sell that to us, Lionsgate, but I'm not buying it. I mean, I'm going to go see the movie just so I have paid for my right to talk about it.
Exactly, yes.
I want to believe that there's going to be better, but you just keep insisting on giving me bad news.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to some other very interesting Power Rangers related news. So we're getting a lot of information. There was just the press conference this past week about the Korean adaptation, or really new installment, I should say.
Kind of, yes.
Of the spin-off of Kyoryuger Power Rangers Dino Charge, which is being called by both names Kyoryuger Brave or Power Rangers Dino Charge Brave.
Now, which really kind of further connects the two franchises and like merges them into this one bizarro world universe.
Yeah, because to go ahead and give a little bit of clarification here, what the Koreans have, they have the Japanese footage dubbed into Korean for Kyoryuger, but over there they call it Power Rangers. So they use the Power Rangers title, but it's the Sentai footage. Now what we're getting here
this way, both America and Japan get royalties and everybody wins!
Exactly, but what we're getting here specifically is Korean filmed footage with the Japanese stunt crew, with the Japanese teams. They've made these new adjusted suits, they've modified the Zords and the weapons, and they're shooting this new product.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to see. This has never happened before.
So
there's
this debate as to whether or not this is a spin-off or a sequel or its own sits in its own universe kind of thing. I do not really entirely understand what it is, and I guess we're not going to understand. When is this being released? Did we have information about that? Or they're just they have already released the opening sequence, right?
Yes.
And
it's going to premiere on April 1st.
And it's not a joke.
No, this is not a joke. This is real.
But April 1st, though.
Yeah, whatever. Stuff does come out on the 1st.
Yeah, I know.
So we will get more information on that. The first 2 episodes will be there on April 1st, then again on April 8th, a week later. It's being directed by Koichi Sakamoto, so there's legitimate directing from Sentai there in the show.
Yes.
So we'll find out more about this as it airs just in a few weeks here, but I'm
curiouser and curiouser. Those people who speak Korean better get on their own fan subbing.
Yes.
Real fast.
Okay.
Because that's a whole fandom that I don't even I'm gonna get into it, I guess.
Yes.
Now we have to figure that out.
Okay, so moving on to some more Tokusatsu news. We just got confirmation this past week of the next installment of Ultraman. The copyright was put out for Ultraman Zed?
Zed?
Or Zed.
It's Zed. Some people are spelling it Jeed, but you know that Z-J sound effect is kind of nebulous.
Yeah, so Zed.
Kind of fluid. Is Jeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the upcoming Ultraman series. Of course, Ultraman Orb is finishing out its run. This new Ultra Orb Galaxy spin-off that they're doing there on Amazon. We'll, of course, report back to you guys once we have a look at what Zed looks like. But for right now, we just have the name.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on to some other news. The last bit of Tokusatsu news for the evening is something interesting from the set of Kamen Rider Exade. So what you can see here, I don't know if you guys can really see it there, is we've got these shots on set of 2 stunt actors in suits that look very much like the Exade suit, but uniform in color. Now
in ugly colors.
In very ugly colors, kind of like Riot Troopers from Kamen Rider 5. So the idea here is that eventually Kuroto Dan, the villain of the series, will eventually get his evil plan off the ground for a battle game that has civilians become Kamen Riders to fight each other for survival, and these might be the grunt suits, the kind of Riot Trooper-esque suits that all civilians will wear who are playing Kamen Rider Chronicle.
It's kind of interesting that they don't have helmets.
Well, right. What you don't see is the other half of this picture where we see Seiji Takaiwa in the Exade suit. He just doesn't have his helmet on either. So from the look of it, they're just running through the choreography before they actually start filming.
Yeah.
But this is something that we're expecting out of Exade. More on that as it develops. Probably we'll find out more at the end of the month once we get our next run of scans.
Yes.
But that's all our follow-ups for the evening. We've still got a lot of shows, so let's get into our first story.
So, yeah, Nintendo Switch, like you just said earlier. Yeah, don't you do that. We did, in fact, get our own Nintendo Switch on launch day. It was really interesting. We went out to Best Buy. I did not get this from Best Buy. We had it shipped to the house.
From Amazon, right?
No, unfortunately, it was from GameStop. It was my only option. I would not have ordered from GameStop otherwise. There was really no other choice. But We did go to Best Buy because that is where I ordered our copy of Breath of the Wild. And man, it was a really long line. Went all the way out and around the building. Also, Best Buy, man, you guys were super inefficient, and I hope you feel terrible. But
yeah, because from when you got in to when you got
like
out,
2 hours.
You were in there for 2 hours, and there were only 70 people in front of you.
People would get up to the line, and you either show them your receipt or your ID or whatever, and they'd go like, okay, so what are you getting? Alright, you're getting Breath of the Wild? Okay, hold on. And the guy would walk really slowly. He walked past the copy like several times, and he looked down at the ground for it. He just kind of... And then he walked away from it, and then he came back, and he's like, maybe I better check again. Oh, there it is. And this was the competency at Best Buy. It was so
It's
terrible.
like, I've got work in the morning, people. Can you be a little bit more efficient about this?
And it's so funny, too, because actually, the people who did not pre-order their Switch, because they were selling the Switch, of course, at the same time.
Right.
People who did not pre-order their Switch were just showing up going, let's just see if I can get a Switch here today and see if they ordered enough. And sure enough, they did. They had more than enough for everybody that was there. And the people who did not pre-order were getting in and out way faster than the people who pre-ordered.
See, that's like pre-reg lines at conventions.
Right?
Like, oh, I didn't pre-reg because I'm just going to go up to the desk and be like, hey, day badge. Okay, here you go. And then that's it. You're good.
You spend a little extra money doing that, but
you got in and out faster. It's
exactly.
the convenience. Basically, it's a convenience fee at that point.
Exactly. Except the people getting their Switches weren't paying a convenience fee. They were just like $300. Bye.
Yeah.
So that was my experience on launch night, the midnight launch. And so there are a lot of people who've been complaining about their Switches being basically dead on arrival.
Yes.
In some cases. So, you see, we turn our Switch on, and it is totally fine. Comes right up, no problems. There's our start menu right there.
The other major problem that a lot of people have been reporting is the desyncing issue with the left Joy-Con controller.
That thankfully has not been a problem for us.
Right, we have not experienced that in either one of us playing through Breath of the Wild.
Now, granted, I had 1 second where it threatened to be a problem, and it was when I turned the Switch on, and for like 1 split second, it was like, please turn on or connect the left Joy-Con. Oh, wait, never mind. You got this.
Like
okay,
it just hiccuped real quick, and then that was it.
And then it was over, and I've never had any trouble playing the game. It turns out one guy said, oh, I fixed the desyncing issue with the left Joy-Con by opening the Joy-Con up and then resoldering stuff. Which makes me wonder, so, okay, the problem is not with connecting software between the Joy-Con and the Switch, it's with the hardware? Does this mean that Nintendo's going to acknowledge it, replace Joy-Cons if necessary? I don't know. All I know is that Nintendo is saying that certain defects are features. Take, for example...
No, see, I don't buy that crap.
Dead pixels. People are complaining about dead pixels on the Switch's screen, which thankfully there is not a problem on ours. Either dead pixels or the bright illuminated pixels, which basically are also dead, just in reverse.
Yeah.
And
too alive.
Yeah.
They're too alive.
So Nintendo describes it on their website and says something to the effect of, you might notice this being a thing for just a couple of the pixels on your screens. This is to be expected. No.
That means it's broken.
And typically, places such as Best Buy will accept returns on items like that for dead pixels. But some people are receiving theirs, like they had it mailed to them like we did, through Amazon or GameStop or wherever, and they just turn it on and it just goes, and the screen just freaks the hell out. Weird high-pitched squealing noises are coming out. It's not reading games, or if it is reading games, like there are these weird alt colors that are showing up while people are playing Breath of the Wild. And so people are really, of course, understandably upset. The only issue I had, I don't have the tiny little wrist straps here to show you guys, but
the cat has them.
Yeah, the cat has the wrist straps right now. She's standing on the Switch box currently. But, so the wrist straps, they're supposed to just slide right onto the Joy-Cons.
Right.
And they do. A little too well, because you can put them on backward with absolutely no problem. No problem at all whatsoever. It feels like that's how it's supposed to go until you realize, looks like it's gone too far. And then you try and pull it off, and it's like really friggin' stuck there. I did that. I screwed up with that before, and I was like, oh no. Now, you are supposed to line up the plus with the plus and the minus with the minus, but it's really not super well illustrated, and lots of people are making that same mistake. And thankfully, with enough pressure, they pop off, but you'll bust your nail. You'll bust your nail off in the process too. Which there's footage of a guy like he's all bleeding and bruised trying to pull this thing off. So the launch of the Switch has not been perfect or ideal. However, that having been said, despite little issues here and there are great things about it.
Yes.
And it is selling very well.
Yes, we got reports in from the New York Times that Reggie, good old Reggie Brown, Reggie Fils-Aimé, has reported has reported that they have broken 2-day sales records for the Switch, things that they haven't seen since the likes of Mario 64, selling well over 330,000 units and climbing. It's broken records in Japan for 3-day sales with about that same number.
Right.
So it's doing incredibly well. Now, most people, aside from those complaints about, the Joy-Cons or your screen or the taste, go figure with that.
Because people are tasting their damn Switch cartridges for some reason, and they're like, this tastes terrible, and then their friend hears it, they're like, nah, let me taste it, and then they're like, this tastes terrible, and then somebody else goes and does it. These are adults, and Nintendo's like, well, we made it taste bad on purpose so kids don't eat it. One, Nintendo thought of making their Switch cartridges taste bad. Like, this was a design thing,
this was a design decision. Like, no, someone's gonna try and put this in their mouth. We need to stop this right now. We're going to nip that in the bud.
But by doing that, they made people want to eat it. It's so
Don't
stupid.
Eat Switch cartridges. Or don't taste them. Why would you do that? You spent $60 on this game, and the first thing you're going to do is put it in your mouth.
And then they go and wonder, why isn't my copy of Breath of the Wild running in my Switch?
Because you didn't wipe the saliva off.
Because it's covered in saliva.
You retard.
Yeah.
Can you... No, I will not lick the game. I spent good money on it.
No, I spent... See, it was my money that I bought Breath of the Wild with. That was my money.
Okay, well, I'm not going to lick the Switch either because that was my tax return money.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm not going to do it.
That is very intelligent.
Because why? No.
Yeah, why would you do that? So, it's been selling, very well. Everyone has been just singing high praises to Breath of the Wild. We were
Hyrule praises.
Oh my god, please shut up. So we were talking about this just at the beginning of the show. I'm very impressed with Breath of the Wild. I know you could get it on the Wii U, but the idea that it's portable, granted you're only going to get 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, depending on your brightness setting on your Switch, because brightness settings will also determine how much battery gets eaten up, of course. The fact that it is portable, and it looks really pretty on the Switch screen.
Yes.
Granted, the Switch screen is only 720p, however, it's
That looks pretty good for 720p.
Also, considering it's stylized graphics that are not really intended to push limits, but it looks beautiful with the decisions that they made.
And admittedly, because of the fact, like I said at the top of the show, I've been sick the last couple of days. I'm not supposed to be out of bed for certain days, so this comes out, and I don't need it plugged in. This is great. I'm taking my NyQuil, and I've got Zelda right here in front of me. Come on, Link, let's go jump off that tower.
Now, you could actually plug it in if you had the charge cable, the appropriate charge cable, because this is how it's supposed to go down in the dock, and that's where it charges from there. You could connect a cable there. That is the other design problem that people are complaining about, is that if you want this in tabletop mode, you can't you can't plug it in and put it on your table at the same time.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a design flaw.
I imagine somebody will make something for that.
And that's another article that I've seen coming up, where people are designing their own personal things.
Charge docks.
Charge docks and stuff in order to get around Nintendo's design flaws. We have a friend who lives here in town, Fred, who also goes by Trunks occasionally, who designed cushions for the Nintendo Switch dock.
Right, so that it doesn't scratch.
So it doesn't scratch up the screen, because
I know a couple of you in the chat were asking that right now. Some people are already coming up with it. People we know.
Yeah.
Working on ways around that. I think it's ingenious that so many people with this at launch, they're not complaining nearly as much. They're being, inventive, like, no, I'm going to fix this. I got this. They're soldering it. They're adding things on. They're making their own docks.
Because really, it is a very ingenious system. I know... You and I, everybody in this room knows that they're going to come up with a Switch version 2, and it's going to fix a whole bunch of the problems that the original release had, and so many people are like, this is why I never buy a console at launch, which, that's somewhat founded. I get that.
Yeah.
So that's the nature of the Switch this past week or so.
Yeah.
I am personally pleased enough and have not had any problems.
Yeah, we're one of the lucky ones.
I'm sorry to those of you who have had problems, though, and hopefully Nintendo will address them in the days to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's as much as we've got on the Switch. Let's go ahead and report on our second story, revolving around this new information about Kamen Rider Amazon's Season 2.
So we've got a trailer. I'm going to be running here in the background. I hope I can actually get it to play. Yay! And we've got muted. Good. So, there's some violence in this trailer, so if you weren't aware that Amazon's was a violent series, spoilers, it's a violent series. So yeah, Season 1 came out last year.
On Amazon Prime.
On Amazon Prime, I'm so upset. They announced that this, amongst other Japanese Amazon Prime series, they were supposed to be bringing it over to the United States, and we still have not heard hide nor hair of that information, of them actually fulfilling what they said they were going to do. So here's hoping they actually do that.
That they actually make good on it. Now, the premiere date is set for April 7th. So just about a month from now, they'll be premiering this another 13 episodes, which makes sense because the first 13 episodes were all lettered, A through M.
Yes.
And this will most likely go on, N through Z, continuing the story there from the first season. Now, we finished watching the last season, and admittedly, I know a lot of people liked it. We aren't those people.
Unfortunately not, no. And I can understand why it is that people are so interested in Amazons, because they want something that's more mature. It's not for children. We are adults that are watching children's franchises. We know that. We're aware of that. However, I also feel like there's things that this series is lacking. I feel like I don't see eye to eye with any of the characters in this series. I don't think any of them is especially a good person that makes me feel like, oh, I want to see them succeed, or I definitely want to see this person fail. They're pretty much all really terrible people. So for that reason, I can't connect to them. I'm hoping Season 2 gives me a reason to turn that back around. I want to give it that chance. I really, really do. Because
admittedly, yeah, some of the story elements really needed work. A lot of things that they thought were going to work didn't. Like, specifically, this is a series that wanted to pride itself on, we're very gory, we're very effects heavy. But the problem is, when all of your blood effects were done in After Effects, it doesn't stick. Nothing's the same as the original Amazon series, where granted it's giant splotches of Crayola paint for blood, but it's clearly all over the suit. Like, when Amazon is cutting through, now original Amazon, mind you.
Yeah, 70s
when he's cutting
Amazon
through these rubber suits, you kind of feel it a little more because you see it made a good connection. Whereas Amazon Season 1, all the blood is fake, it's not actually there. A lot of the stunt work just doesn't hit. Like you can see like John Cena on on SmackDown, like you can see the space in between
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the
yeah.
hit was supposed to happen, and the whole job is you're supposed to lie to me, help me out with the plausible deniability that these people are actually fighting. I prefer the Kool-Aid blood. I really do.
To that extent, I do too. However, I feel like you could take that same concept and make it more realistic looking, kind of
Yes.
deep red, crimson, thick looking stuff.
And the thing about it is, to that extent, or to that end, all the blood was black in the series. Now I get it; they're not humans per se; they're these Amazon creatures.
That's Japan's censorship of blood.
But that was on
blood
Amazon
black.
Prime. It wasn't airing initially on television. Now they did eventually show it on Japanese television, so that would have made sense for a televised release.
Mm-hmm.
But the initial release there through Amazon Prime, you don't necessarily have those stringent censorship issues on a streaming service. So I don't know why they did that to begin with. I guess they were saving money in the long run?
That's entirely possible, or they decided it would be more expensive to get blood all over those suits and have to clean them all the time. That is possible.
Now let's go ahead and talk about what we're seeing here in the show. Now we do see a new character here by the name of Chihiro. He's our new hero, Kamen Rider Amazon Neo. I'll start it off right off the bat. That suit is sick. I really like that suit.
I hope I like the character.
Yeah, admittedly, yeah.
Because, yeah, you can get aesthetics down just fine, but if I don't like the character, I don't care how cool he looks. I really don't.
Because this new character is somebody who they're saying was revived and is hunting the Amazons, and there's this other character, the Crow Amazon, who's a girl by the name of EU. She is an Amazon herself who was brought back and trained to fight Amazons directly. So we have a writer and an actual Amazon monster fighting side by side, much like last season with the character of Mamoru and then Amazon Omega.
Yes.
Now, they're saying this might be more of a love story here because of the two characters being male and female. They might write that off. Maybe it'll be better. It's not often, if hardly at all, that they try to tell a love story in a Kamen Rider series. So hopefully they can do something with that.
That would be
and
nice,
it's something
yeah.
I'll want to watch. Now, as you guys will notice, you can see Amazon Omega there in the background. He's got this new belt on him, which is the same one that Neo is using.
You want to take a look at this
Yeah,
belt?
we can go ahead and pull that up here.
Which I think is this. It's this.
Yes, so this is the new Neo Amazon driver, which they're already taking pre-orders for. As soon as this trailer dropped, this came up. This will be available through Premium Bandai. No word on the price yet, but I imagine it's going to be in the $100 range, just like the belt for Amazon's Season 1 was. I like it. I'm not going to lie. They got the aesthetic part down.
The aesthetics is fine.
It looks
That's
really
not
cool.
the problem.
But I agree with you wholeheartedly. If the story sucks, I'll be less inclined to want it. I mean, I will still think, yeah, that's a really cool design, but then I'll think that's a really cool design wasted on a bad series.
Yeah, I hope that Season 2 kicks it up. I really do, because I saw how Amazons had potential. A lot of
It
potential.
did. And then it didn't live up to it. At least in our opinion.
Yeah, in our opinion. But I feel like it's going to find its correct audience, because most people who are watching it are just in it for the thrill of look how violent this is.
Yes.
Quite honestly. And that's, to me, that sounds really shallow. However, you like what you like, and I can't knock you for liking it if you like it. I just can't. But I can't get behind watching it personally.
Yes.
So we've got some other character photos that came out.
We have a clearer photo of Amazon Omega, Neo, Kamen Rider Amazon Neo there with the bike. Same bike from last season, and I'll try and get out of the way here. He looks very Kamen Rider Excel Trial, Kamen Rider Blade-esque with the silver blue overtones there, orange eyes. He looks cool, but he doesn't look like an Amazon.
Yeah,
he just looks really cool. And I imagine you could have used this suit elsewhere and designed it a little better. It almost looks like it belongs in a completely separate series. So in that sense, I'm wondering why they decided to use it here instead of trying to focus on those characters from last season. Who knows?
That's a very good question. Other promotional shots include, like, this one.
Yes, showing our two characters from last season, Omega, Alpha, and then Neo there in the middle. And of course, we might get other writers as the series progresses, just like last season. They have 13 episodes to tell it, to tell this new story. We're hoping, like we said, that it's good. We're also more so hoping that we do get domestic release over here. You remember we reported last season that they said that the second season would eventually be shown over here.
The first season, yeah.
Oh yeah, that as well. So I want to support.
And they were talking about Ultraman also, weren't they?
Right, with Orb.
And whatever that other comedic series
Yeah,
was.
that's right. I forget the name, but I know the one you're talking about from your favorite director.
Yeah, they were talking about tons of Japanese Amazon Prime shows coming over to North America, and we still have not heard hide nor hair of where those are.
So
and I'm a little disappointed.
At this point, we're just gonna have to wait for subs like everybody else. But fingers crossed, we will be able to get that over here domestically and support that every chance we get. We say it and we say it and we say it.
Well, you do.
Support stateside Toku. Once we get it over here and we show people that we're actually willing to pay for it, then we can get better options. Because this is the first option, as far as we're aware, that Toei's actually going to allow their tokusatsu to be shown here for an American, North American audience to be able to pay for it.
If they actually follow through.
If they actually follow through. So come on, Toei, get the program here. Tsuburaya is kicking your ass.
Alright, so we've got one final story here. I'm going to bring up this picture right here.
Yes.
Josh, what are we looking at?
This is Orisa. She is a new character that will be included in the game of Overwatch just shortly. She's in PTR right now. She was just announced a little over a week ago with more information coming in about her. And this, of course, is running on a wave of a ton of new information from Overwatch. This, of course, being the biggest one here. People have been wondering for a while because they've been teasing us a new character's coming, and it ended up being Orisa. Her introduction was through this little girl from Numbani, one of the levels there in the game. This little girl, an inventor by the name of Effie.
We got an image of her.
Yes, Effie. So Effie is a very bright young girl. She's a scientist who witnessed on her own there in the Numbani airport, which is the spawn point for that level, Doomfist, the character that we've been hearing a lot about since the launch of the game, attacked the airport and the bots that were there protecting it. And so Effie took it upon herself to revamp one of the robots that was taken down by Doomfist's large, punch, and turned it into Orisa, which we see now. So the character has been introduced. She has different powers from some of the different characters there in Overwatch. She can pull people in like Zarya's Graviton Surge. She can put down a shield just like Winston. She has this chain gun, which slows her down, making her similar to Bastion, but not quite. She's a tank class, and people are really looking forward to her.
So my understanding is that as it stands right now, she is way overpowered, and thus that's why she's only in testing and beta access.
Right, so they're still trying to work the kinks out of her. Blizzard, of course, only has her in PTR because they want to see how viable the character is actually going to be once they put her in the game. Now, admittedly, if you look at the select screen for the characters there in the game, they have already made that room on the roster. There's clearly a spot there where one other character profile portrait is going to go. She's going to get put into the game.
Yes.
It's just a matter of how are they going to adjust her to make sure she's not too OP, not too underpowered. They want to make sure she's in the right spot. Which goes along with a lot of this other news that we've been getting recently about these different nerfs and buffs for characters there in the game.
Right.
So most notably, just as of today, they've retracted, or I should say rescinded, this most recent buff to the character of Ana. Ana, of course, being a support character, who a lot of people have come to like since her introduction into the game.
The concept of a sniper that can heal, the whole time has been quite fascinating.
Right, a support sniper. People love the use of the character. Well, unfortunately, what happened earlier in the week is that they decided to weaken the power of her rifle and her little... my friends that I play with, we call it the piss grenade because of how it looks, which is the little bomb that she puts off that will heal your people.
Which, funny enough, the jar of piss is what the sniper, in fact, does use in Team Fortress 2, but it serves a completely different purpose.
Right.
Entirely different purpose.
Right. So the effectiveness was dropped significantly, and people, of course, were outraged. People telling them in the forums, hey, you can't do that, she's my favorite character, or this is completely going to take her out of the game, why would you do that? And this, of course, also coming on the back of the Bastion buffs, most notably that he can run and heal at the same time, because up until just recently, you had to stop completely, use your healing, and then keep moving. But the thing is, every time you did that, if you've ever played as Bastion, you're a sitting duck.
Now realize, Bastion is also female. Both the robots are female.
Both the robots are female.
There makes me wonder, are there male robots? So far, the answer is no.
Zenyatta?
Is Zenyatta a robot?
Yeah.
Or is he like a dude that looks like a robot?
No, he's a robot. He's an Omnic.
He's an Omnic.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he's got 2 lady friends now.
Yes. Now the thing about it is, the biggest thing, for me anyway, is Doomfist. They've been saying Doomfist wasn't going to be the next character, but they've directly referenced that Doomfist is out and about in the game. Because if you see there on the new
and
Bonnie
it's confirmed
Mac,
that it's Terry Crews, basically.
They haven't confirmed that yet, but come on.
Please.
Yeah, at this point, like, we're waiting for it. I'm just waiting for that next Overwatch short, and you just hear power, and then
that's not gonna happen.
It might happen.
That's not gonna happen.
They might give him a voice line.
No, they won't.
One voice line.
No, not in regards to Old Spice. No.
We'll see. But yes, they're at least letting us know, look, we're giving you a character, and of course, like every other character in Overwatch, you don't have to pay for it. All that content is free. You get it as soon as we're done with it. Please enjoy. And the thing about it is, I think it'll be enough to keep people invested in the game. Because right now, yeah, we've got PAX East this weekend, so now's a good time for them to get some information out while gamers are out and about. It's important that they keep people invested. You know, we're still not at the year point from when Overwatch was launched, and now you've got all these other games. You got Nier Automata, Horizon Zero Dawn, of course, Breath of the Wild out right now.
Granted, none of them are the same genre, so...
Right, but the thing about it is...
So they're really not competing with each other.
But they're competing for people's attention.
Somewhat.
Because I've got several friends who put down Overwatch to pick up Breath of the Wild. And as you've seen yourself, it's quite an extensive time-consuming game.
Yeah, like I played more than 24 hours in it at this point, longer than that, I'm
more
sure.
Than that. You're like at the 30
like somewhere around the 30-hour mark, and I feel like, well, I haven't really hardly progressed the story at all. That's a thing that typically I would say about The Witcher or about Skyrim, and I'm saying that about Zelda. So yeah, you can get lost in that, which I suppose would be in direct opposition to the number of hours you could pour into Overwatch.
Exactly. So at this point, you do need the support of that new content to keep people invested and to make people want to come back. Because a lot of people want to be of the mindset of, well, once I'm done with Horizon Zero Dawn, once I'm done with Breath of the Wild, then I'll pick Overwatch up again because they're adding more content. And so long as the content is there and free and bug-free and supportable, then yeah, you'll bring people back. But if you're going to keep doing these weird nerfs, like weakening Ana, weakening Bastion, or overpowering somebody like, say, Symmetra, where you want to make her more offensive, but then you kind of give her too much power,
right?
Then you worry about losing your fan base, which they've spent a good amount of time and effort building up over the past year. And there's a lot of very enthusiastic Overwatch fans out there.
Oh,
you want to keep them. So hopefully with the introduction of Orisa here in just a few weeks, hopefully, that'll be enough to keep people interested until we get Doomfist and then a bunch of people come in.
Definitely.
Because people want to play as Terry Crews.
Yeah, I see that definitely being a good boost in the arm to the game's lifespan, which really has not diminished it, because you're right, it hasn't even been a full year yet. It still has a lot of life left in it. Because Korea loves it. So it's not gonna die.
Korea loves the ever-loving hell out of it.
It's not gonna die. So there's still a lot of direction that this can go in. So we will be sticking on that. Letting you guys know whether or not Doomfist shows up. That's what I'm
as soon as Doomfist shows up, I'm going to be all over that mess.
Of course. If you are live with us right now, you can continue to hang out with us for an additional half an hour so that we can have Q&A time with you guys. Because otherwise, if you're just watching it on YouTube later on, I'm so glad that you guys are watching it, but you need to get down here because you don't get to see the Q&A stuff or participate in the Q&A stuff unless you're down here with us live at 9 p.m. Central every Thursday night. So hopefully you can come hang out with these lovely people right here. That would be fun. They would love you.
And of course, during the week, you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at JoshKnight1st.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
So that having been said, that's been tonight's season opener for Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys again next week.
Thank you guys. Please take a look at this advertisement before we go into Q&A time.
Take it away, Danny.
Danny is a young sci-fi writer living in the UK. Everything was going great until one day he was captured by a beautiful woman, terrifyingly hot. Her name is Morphine. She locked him up in the basement. She tortures him day and night. Whips and chains and moans and pain. She forces him to write amazing